Hello and welcome to my channel. Wiped out all of my old YouTube content. I'm starting a new era. I'm starting fresh. I thought what better way to get into this new season and to make a video kind of showing some of my inspiration. I'm going to show you some of the art books that have made me the artist I am today. I'm 100% inspired to make this video based off of Hayden Anadonia, aka Ethel Kane's art books tour that she's done. I watch them. They're like my comfort YouTube things to watch. I love watching her flip through her inspirations and her art books. So I was like, I will make my own version of this and show you guys the art books that mean a lot to me and I think could inspire you too. I'm gonna start off with a banger. One of my favorite ones. It is called A Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. I'm a big Anne of Green Gables, Beatrix Potter, love Victorian countryside whimsy, okay? So that's what you're getting into with me. The woman who wrote and illustrated this is named Edith Holden, and they've created basically from her journals this book version and handwritten poems and notes and hand-drawn illustrations, watercolor illustrations of nature. She was writing these in 1906. This is her 1906 diary. First of all, her handwriting. I want this to be my font. Can you see how beautiful just the text is? Not to mention the illustrations like this, observational naturalist illustrations. It's so inspiring to me. I'm like, I need to get the paints out. It goes through all the months of the year, starting with January, February. The February one has little cupids. If you know anything about my art, you know I'm a sucker for cupids, anything Valentine's Day related. I look through this book when I'm feeling in a rut. Look at the little gnomes for April. I'm gonna flip to my month. I was born in July. This is in June. Little bumblebees. These thistles. I think this might be my favorite art book I have. I'm starting with it first. I love Victorian women being iconic and like, look at these birds. So cute. It's a huge source of inspiration to me. Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. This painting right here, like a print of it, is hung up in my mom's house. I grew up looking at this painting every single morning, bugging my mom while she was trying to sleep in or to just have some alone time. I would just come into her room and sit next to this painting and just look at it. This book is called The Enchanted World of Water Spirits. My bathroom growing up as a child was the mermaid bathroom. It was themed mermaids, and my mom has all these mermaid prints in there, and this was me. It's like a tiny little in a collage, but it's in there. Do I even need to say anything about that? It's so gorgeous. We even got some merman representation. Siren ladies enchanting sailors. I love this one. It's like watercolor with ink. I do a lot of watercolor and ink artwork myself. My mom also has this one in that bathroom I was talking about. Creepy dead guy. Beautiful twin mermaids checking out the crime scene. We're moving on to Pre-Raphaelites. I love this time period for Western art. I just love like Victorian era stuff like I was telling you before. It started sharing the female experience in a way that had not been shown before through art. It shows in a lot of like the emotions that these artists captured. And there's a lot of like nature and female motifs in this period of art that resonate with me and like the art I create. So the ever famous Ophelia by Sir John Everett Millais. I'm sure, I hate that they creased it, but everybody and their mama has seen this one, I'm sure. I love this painting, and I feel like it really exemplifies what I mean about loving this period of art. It just captures women's agony and suffering and sadness, being like also seen in the natural elements that they're placed in. Another mermaid. Oh, this painting, if you've ever taken an art history class, it's going to be familiar. I really like seeing these somber looking women. Waterhouse is literally one of my favorite artists of all time. And I love that for them. Pre-Raphaelites. Enough of that Pre-Raphaelites. Here's some more. Also, look at that. Like, if you know anything about the art I like to make, like, you understand why I'm such a fan. Like, I love a good greenery with a lady pondering. You get it. Don't even pretend like you don't get it. You get it. Get a little repetitive. Like, here she is again. Pre-Raphaelites. The Pre-Raphaelites. Is anybody getting tired of all this Pre-Raphaelites? Well, I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with this time period for art, where we're seeing more patterns and illustrative stuff. This paper is really glossy. I love a nymph girly fairy girl out in nature. That's my favorite subject to paint myself. Women lamenting. Let's just review. Look at all that detail. Look at the dog. Look at the oranges. Look at the literal text in that book. This is the arts and crafts movement. They get maximalism. I am a maximalism fan. The arts and crafts pre-Raphaelite time. They get it with being extra, you know? This is one of my favorite paintings of all time. Hylas and the Water Nymphs by Waterhouse, of course. Waterhouse, my fave. So sorry for the glare. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do about that. It mixes all my favorite things. Mermaids, nature. Oh, here's a big version of that one I was showing you earlier. Oh. Oil on canvas. Doesn't that look like watercolor though? I want to be able to paint like this. Pre-Raphaelites. One doesn't have a fancy cover. It's just called the PreRafferlights Sandra 40. It's Jesus. Tell me right now that, doesn't this look like something you'd see on Tumblr? Like someone drew this like yesterday, not freaking, what year was this? 1882. Ahead of their time. More rainbows. Look at those colors, man. That is so weird. I told you it gets repetitive, but we have to make some commotion for Ophelia every time we see her. Okay, this one. If you've ever taken an art history class, you've definitely seen this too. Look at her. Her back is aching from carrying the weight of men making poor decisions. I love creepy ghostly women. I love a good posture too. Just girls taking naps. Look at all that detail. Look at, I am dead. That wraps it up for the Pre-Raphaelites. Angels in art. This one has all sorts of different time periods. It's again, another kind of art history book. Keith Haring, angel, something a little different, huh? A lot of medieval angels up in here. And sometimes the medieval angels are the creepiest. Actually, they're almost always the creepiest. There's so many creepy depictions of things that were supposed to be like heavenly. You know what I mean? Look at how cute. Here's an example of Renaissance angels being a little creepy. Like, this is cute-ish. I mean, like, he's kind of ugly. But then look at him. I think it's just an unfinished painting, but he is. I like weird, cute shit. I think that's important to understand about me. The medieval angel style, you know, with the gold around the head. Heavenly, romanticized ones that aren't as creepy. My angels in art, but wouldn't you know it, I have another one, and this one's tiny. Faves. I like this one because of the seashell. Oh, I love her. I love this painting. I want to see it in real life so bad. I love these little boys. These tiny little elves. Like this one. I feel like some of these are just so, like this was made 1872. It feels so modern. Art books are just Pinterest in real life. Angels and Fairies. I'm gonna go through these two pretty quick. We have Botticelli and Hieronymus Bosch. I love this one so much that, as you're gonna see, I made it my wedding guest book for people to sign. The Birth of Venus is my favorite painting of all time. And I thought it would be really cute to make it our guest book because I love this painting. Little nice messages in the margins. This is the one, Birth of Venus, with a little message at the bottom. I could look at that one forever and just read all of our friends' messages, but we gotta keep it moving. Hieronymus Bosch, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, that's no surprise to me. This is another artist that you study in an art history class. His work, he was around the 1500s, okay, making this work that feels like someone on shrooms. And maybe he was. I'm in a college class. I asked our professor, I'm like, do you think that he was taking psychedelics? And she acted like I asked a very personal question to her. She did not like that question. So I never got an answer, but I kind of feel like he did. This is Garden of Earthly Delights. I really encourage you to look at this on your own because there's no way my glossy paper and iPhone camera can capture all of the incredible detail of this masterpiece. It's just one that you have to look at yourself, but this piece is why I bought this book. Let's be honest, like bonkers. Can you imagine someone in the 1500s creating such bizarre work? I have to show you this weird one too. I just love his sketches. What a mind. I wish I could talk to him. Bosch. Tar Beach by Faith Ringgold. This book means a lot to me for many reasons. This is a children's book by Faith Ringgold. Faith Ringgold is also a fine artist, creates quilt art and paintings. My mom, when I was in elementary school, was a voluntary art docent at my elementary school. She would come in to my classes like once a month, once every couple months, and she would bring in a lesson plan, art supplies, and an artist to focus on. Van Gogh lessons, Georgia O'Keeffe is another, and like she would bring the supplies and have all the kids in the class do an art piece based off of that artist. For some kids, I've talked to them later in life, that was their first and only experience taking an art class ever, was my mom just taking initiative to teach art and she's a dancer. Like, she's not even a fine artist, but she's an incredible woman. That's a whole spiel to lead into. My mom is who introduced me and my elementary school class to Faith Ringgold. It's lived in my mind rent-free for all these years. I am a big detail, like, slice of life fan, and I think from those other ones you could tell I love detail. And Faith Ringgold does that same thing for me in her own way. Like, even the cover, you can see all that little detail with the food. I love just tiny little details. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I mean. It is a children's book, so it's set up. Each page is pretty simple. Look how beautiful that is. And look at the texture of the paint. And look at these quilt squares. I recently did a painting for a client, did watercolor quilt squares all around it, and it was 100% Faith Ringgold inspired. These are real quilt squares. Like, she really does use fabric. I love just the inclusion of those. Look at all the details of the food and the family eating, and it's just a beautiful, I love the simplicity of the illustrations, but yet there's so much detail. Like, another look at all of that texture, all of those patterns. It just, you know me, I love maximalism, okay? The city lights. Here is the piece from the collection of quilt art. This is the cover. This is also the piece on display, I believe at the Guggenheim, which I need to go see in real life. It's the beauty in these quilt squares, and it all ties back to Black history, being a Black woman in America. She's really someone I would love to see her work in real life. I really hope someday I can. Thank you, Mom, for putting me on Faith Ringgold. To our last one for today. My mom collects the Susan Branch cookbooks and memoirs and journals that she publishes. I was raised on these. I would flip through them. It has influenced my art since I was a child. Like, again, it's all about the very, like, maximalist detail, food illustration, nature illustrations. I love all of that. Susan Branch has so many books, I can't even keep track. I have the summer one, a lot like this one. These two books, they make me feel some sort of way about being American. I don't know how better to explain that than brings me a sense of nostalgia about, like, the 4th of July as a child. Does that make sense? My birthday's in July, so we celebrate 4th of July and my birthday a lot of the time on the same day. We would, like, get together with the neighborhood, the community, and, like, light little lighters for the kids and have hot dogs and have pink lemonade. And it just, this book is that in a book form for me. This one is too, because, like, the family sitting up on the roof having a meal and, like, it feeling like you're trying to cool off from the summer heat. Like, these two books remind me of that feeling, okay? Makes sense to me, and I guess that's all that matters. Susan Branch, The Woman You Are. Her style is a lot like the Diary of the Edwardian Lady, because she's doing the handwritten journal entries and recipes, all handwritten, hand watercolor illustrated. I have dreams of creating something like this someday. A lot of her books are recipes. There are a lot of, like, cookbook stuff. It just reminds me of, like, the 4th of July. Like, I would look through these with my mom and be like, should we make this blackberry lemonade this year? It would inspire us to cook and make something interesting together. Flower illustrations, the seashells. Mom has a bunch of these books in her collection. There's, like, Christmas ones, there's vacation ones, there's autumn. The one that lives rent-free is the summer one because, like I said, I'm not a big summer girl. I get really overheated and it gets to be like 100 degrees where I live. I just want to be cold all the time, so I don't really like summer, but romanticizing it this way really helps me. If you've ever seen any of like my work I do for like wedding illustrations, it's very, very much inspired by this. Like, you gotta give credit where credit's due. I am very, very influenced by these art books I just showed you. Like, it's my lore. These books are really like what have fostered the art style I have today and the goals I have with my art. I think it's really interesting to find out what other artists are consuming, and what comes out of that is very interesting to me. So I hope that was interesting to you. I hope it inspires you. Instead of scrolling on TikTok today, maybe take some books off the shelves and flip through them. I promise it will be much more inspirational. Sometimes just holding something physical like that helps versus getting overloaded by things on the internet. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.